Good morning, students. In this session, let us study the poem Snake, written by D.H. Lawrence, an English poet. In this poem, let us try to understand the conflict between reason and instinct. Reason is related to head or mind, and instinct is related to blood. So there is a conflict between head and blood, reason and our instinct. This conflict is presented in this poem. Let us try to understand the conflict between head and blood in this. Let us also try to understand the prevailing faulty education system that is imparted to the people in the present day world. The poem also talks about the faulty education system that prevails in the world. Let us also try to understand the reasons for the different behavior of the snake and the poet. Snake is a creature. The poet is a human being. They act differently. They show different behavior in one particular situation. Let us study the situation and the behavior and the reasons for different behaviors. After studying this poem, we learn that conventional society expects man to perform things contrary to his instinct. The conventional society that we are living in expects every man to perform certain things contrary to his instinct. Even though we do not want to do certain things, we are expected to perform them. That is the expectation of the society that we live in today. We also learn that the society has preconceived notions which the poet exposes. In this poem, the poet exposes the preconceived notions the society has or practices. We also learn that man faces dilemmas in life because of the faulty education he or she receives. We face so many dilemmas in our day-to-day life because of the faulty education that we receive. The system of education that we undergo is faulty. So it makes us to face so many dilemmas in our day-to-day life. We learn all creatures have equal rights over the resources available on this earth. In this poem, we learn that all the creatures on this earth have the equal rights over the resources available on this earth. People generally believe that man is the only creature who has the right over the resources that are available on this earth. But all the creatures on this earth have the right over the resources that are available on this earth. So in this poem at last, we learn to reassess the things and introspect. We have to reassess each and everything in our life and we have to make introspection. These are the things that we are going to learn in this poem. You see, D.H. Lawrence brought out a collection of poems titled Birds, Beasts and Flowers in the year 1923. Look at the title, Birds, Beasts and Flowers. The collection of poems, as the title itself indicates, is about the natural objects or creatures. So, this poem, Snake, is a part of the reptile section of this book. The book is divided into different sections. This poem, Snake, is taken from the reptile section of this collection of poems. Snake is also a creature. The poet writes about the natural objects, creatures in nature. This poem details a powerful few moments when Lawrence is confronted by a snake at his water trough in Sicily. D.H. Lawrence was living in Sicily. One day, he confronted a snake at his water trough. That event is presented in this poem. There is a constant debate between what man wants and what society wants or demands from man. This is a common debate that we find everywhere today. Man wants certain things, but society wants or demands some other things from the man. So the poem consists of 70 lines and it is not rhymed. It is written in verse. D.H. Lawrence is a revolutionary. He wanted to bring in so many changes in writing poetry. That is why he violated all the conventional rules, most of the conventional rules, and he followed his own instinct. This poem is written as per his own poetic theory. Let us look into the event which is described in the poem Snake. The event is the arrival and departure of a snake. A very simple event. A snake arrives from its hole and it departs back into its hole. This is the event that is presented in this poem. That the poet's reaction to that. The poet's reaction to the arrival of the snake and departure of the snake is the very important or the core of this poem. It exposes the society and human nature in this poem. This is one that is on one particular hot day. A snake came from the crack in the wall made up of earth. On that particular day, a snake came out of the crack in the wall. It is made up of earth. There was a darkness in the wall. The snake came out of the darkness. The crack in the wall was dark and it was scorching inside portion of the earth. It was very warm inside the hole. So the snake came out of that scorching inside of the hole. It came out of the earth. It didn't feel the threat of the poet's presence. The poet saw the snake coming out of the hole, but the snake is not aware of the poet, it seems. So it is not afraid of the poet's presence. It came to the poet's water trough. So its movement is very slow. The snake slowly moves and it is very relaxed and it is not in hurry. It is unhurried. It is relaxed and it moves very slowly. It comes to the water trough. It stretches its long body. It drank water with enjoyment like a cow or cattle. The poet gives a very interesting comparison or simile here. The drinking of water by the snake is compared to the cow or cattle drinking water in a river or a pond. Generally, the cows, when they drink water in a relaxed manner, they lift their head, relax for a while, drink again. They repeat it. Similarly, the snake comes to the water trough, drinks water, relaxes for a while, then drinks and relaxes. So the poet compares the snake drinking water looks like a cow drinking water in a relaxed manner. The poet watched it, felt very happy. He thought that the snake is a guest. He felt honored. Even after all this, the poet threw a log at the snake. At last, he threw a log at the snake. So the snake departs very quickly, clumsily, abruptly, like the speed of the lightning. It disappeared all of a sudden. You see, the arrival of the snake is very, very slow, relaxed, unhurried, but its departure is compared to the speed of the lightning. It disappeared all of a sudden. This is the event that is mentioned in the poem, that is described in the poem. Let us see the reactions of the poet to this event. So the poet's dual attitude towards the snake. Dual means two attitudes. The poet has two different attitudes towards the snake. What are those two different attitudes of the poet towards the snake? The poet experiences conflicting emotions on seeing the snake. He saw the snake, but there are two different conflicting emotions in him. Those emotions are, the poet is afraid of the snake on the one hand and is fascinated by it on the other. Afraid of it and fascinated by it. These are the two reactions of the poet on seeing the snake at his water throat. Why did the poet has these two different attitudes towards the snake? He clearly states the reason for his two different attitudes. Social education had taught him snakes are poisonous. He got education in educational institutions. Educational institutions in the society had taught the poet that snakes were poisonous and they must be killed or struck down. He was taught this by the social education system in our society. That is why he is afraid of the snake, because the society has taught him that snakes are poisonous, they must be killed, they are very dangerous, they are life threatening. That is why he has this opinion. That is his first attitude towards the snake. On the other hand, its dignified manner evokes his admiration. The way in which it moves to the water trough, the way in which it drinks the water, makes the poet feel that the snake is very, very dignified. Its behavior is very, very dignified. It is not afraid of the poet's presence, not scared of him. So it behaves in a very dignified manner. This dignified manner evokes his admiration towards this snake. So we find these two responses from the poet on seeing the snake at his water trough. The dual responses were like two voices. So these two responses by the poet are just like two voices that make poet strike at it much against his wishes. Even though he knows that he should not throw a stick at it, he throws a stick at it. He strikes at it. The social education makes him to hit the snake or throw a stick at it. But his instinct says he should not hurt it. So these are the two dual or attitudes of the poet. That is why in the very introductory slide I told you that there is a conflict between head and blood. Blood is poet's instinct which says he should not hurt the snake, which is a creature. It has every right to enjoy the water, to fulfill its thirst. But the social education, which has taught him the manners, culture, makes him throw a stick at it. So there is a conflict between these two, head and blood. The poet's horror and protest. Why did the poet feel terrified? And what was his reaction, or why did he protest? The poet took it as his guest in the beginning. The poet took the arrival of the snake and the snake as his guest. He felt honored because it had come to him, come to his water trough without any invitation. The poet feels felt honored that it sought his hospitality. The snake itself sought his hospitality. It came to his water trough as a guest. So the poet feels honored. He had appeared more protective. In the beginning, the poet was very, very protective to the snake. He was very much concerned about the snake. He doesn't want to disturb it. He allowed the snake to take water or drink water first. Even though the poet was there to collect water from the water trough, he stopped without disturbing the snake. He allowed the first comer to enjoy the water first. He was very protective and very much concerned to the snake, and he had not disturbed it. He had high respect for the snake. He regards it like God. He honored it. It looked like a dignified king in exile. The snake looks like a dignified king in exile, due to be crowned again. He feels that the snake is a king. It is in exile due to some reason, and it is likely to be crowned once again. And he sees it as the Lord of life. Snake is the Lord of life. He uses these metaphors in the poem. Its a dignified retreat into the dark hole agitated him a lot. He had so much respect for the snake. But the snake started retreating. The dignified arrival of the snake honored the poet. The poet felt honored, but its departure looked like an undignified retreat to the poet, because it was moving into the dark hole once again. It came out of the dark hole first, again it is moving into its dark hole. It agitated the poet a lot. He protested. That is why the poet says he protested and hurled a stick at it or a logwood at the snake, because it was retreating into the dark hole once again. It came out of the dark hole, very uncomfortable place, but it is getting into that dark hole once again. That agitated him, and he protested by hurling a logwood at it. So that shows the poet's horror and protest. After throwing a logwood at the snake, the poet's derision, guilt, and regret is presented in the following stanzas. The poet feels derision. He feels very, very uncomfortable. He feels sorry for his act. Guilt. He feels that he did something wrong by eating the snake. And he regrets his action of throwing a logwood at the snake. So you see the reaction of the poet. It is very ironical that the protective poet tried to kill it when it turned its back. In the poem, in the beginning, when he saw the snake, the poet was very, very protective. He felt honored. He felt that it was his uninvited guest. But when it started retreating, he hurled a logwood at it. It is very ironical. He said one thing at the beginning and did something opposite on its retreat. He experiences feelings of self-derision after this act. He felt guilty and he regrets after eating the snake. And the poet calls his behavior is a very, very mean, vulgar, paltry, and a very petty thing. He felt disgusted at his own behavior. He cannot understand what made him to behave in such a way to the dignified, honored guest snake. He felt very sorry for his behavior. Unconsciously, he did that. He says his social education, the social education voice in him reminded him that he would kill it if he is a man and courageous. The social education voice that was there in him, the education that he had got had its own voice. It was hiding in his mind or heart. That reminded the poet that he must kill the snake. It challenged his manliness and it challenged his courage. The social education challenged the poet. It questioned whether you are a man. If at all, if you are a man, you would kill the snake. If you are courageous, you will kill. Otherwise, it means to say that you are not at all a man. You are not at all courageous. The education challenged him, questioned him. In order to prove that he is a man and courageous, he hurled a stone at it. This is the fault of education. They have taught us all these things. He curses his social education for this and feels he must make amends for his wrong behavior. He realized immediately. His mind made him to react in such a way, but his blood reminded him that he went wrong. He did something wrong in his behavior. So he decided to make amends, corrections of his wrong behavior. He realized that he had no reason to strike at the snake. After hitting the snake, he feels sorry for that. He regrets. He feels guilty. And he realizes that he had no reason. There was no reason to strike at the snake because it had not harmed the poet. It hadn't disturbed him, but it had come there to quench its thirst. It is to satiate its thirst, not to hurt human beings, not to trouble the poet or anybody else. It was there to quench its own thirst. After quenching its thirst, it retreated quite naturally its dark hole. But the poet felt hurt, provoked, and a social education made him throw a stick at it. He feels snake had behaved in a dignified manner, whereas he is in a petty manner. He compares the behavior of the snake, dignified behavior of the snake on the one hand. On the other hand, his behavior was very, very petty, mean. That is why the poet realizes, feels sorry for his own behavior. He feels very, very mean of himself, whereas the creature showed dignity, but he behaved in a very, very undignified manner by eating at it. Moreover, eating from behind is an act of cowardice. The poet feels that he hit the snake from the behind. He did not face it boldly from the front. He threw a stick from behind. That makes him feel that it is a sort of cowardice or an act of cowardice. So the poet compares himself to a mariner. That is an allusion to S.T. Coleridge's poem, The Rime of the Ancient Mariner. In that poem, mariner who was sailing on the sea killed the bird albatross for no reason. The bird was sailing along with the ship. This mariner, instead of enjoying the beauty and the company of this bird albatross, he killed it without reason. But here the poet tried to kill the armless snake. You see the difference between these two events. Mariner actually killed the albatross bird, even though he did not hurt him, trouble him. But in this situation, the poet tried to kill the armless snake. The bird was also harmless to the mariner. The snake was also harmless to the poet D.H. Lawrence. But the mariner killed the albatross for no reason. The poet tried to kill the snake. Later, after the act, the poet and the mariner regret their decision, their act. The mariner has to make amends by being punished. The ancient mariner was punished for his act. But here the poet is thinking of compensating for his crime. The poet was not punished, but he wants to compensate for his crime. He says, I have something to expiate. The poet says he has to make amends, he has to make atone, or he has to pay penalty for his act, or clean himself of his guilt. So, after studying this poem, we come to know that at the symbolic level, the poem Snake represents the conflict in our minds. Even though the poem is about a snake, the main focus at the symbolic level is the conflict in our minds. There are so many conflicts in our mind, whether to kill the snake or not to kill the snake. In course of the poem, the images gradually change. The poet uses so many images in the poem. In the beginning, he talks about the snake. It is a reptile. The reptile is compared to a cow drinking water at a pond or a river. It is an animal. Cow is an animal. Reptile, snake is compared to a cow. It means to say that snake is a cow. Reptile becomes a mild animal cow. Next, the poet compares the snake to the king. The king in exile to be crowned again shortly. King is a man. From animal to man, the snake. You see the elevation of snake from the reptile to the animal, from animal to the king, and ultimately he says snake is a god, god of life. He is a divine element. So the snake has a different phases and it is elevated in its status as the poem progresses. On the other hand, the poet who is very much concerned for the snake, who honored the snake, respected the snake in the beginning, gets confused, biased as the poem moves or progresses, and he becomes a killer. He becomes a killer. He tries to kill the snake. At last, he becomes a penitent. Penitent, one who repents his sin. He repents. You see the development or transformation of the snake. The snake is transformed from reptile to the animal, from animal to the man, and man to divine. There is a progress. Positive change in the snake. Whereas in poet, a poet who is very much concerned about the animals and creatures moves to a state of confusion, bias, and then he becomes almost a killer. Ultimately, he becomes penitent. There is a negative development in the character or attitude of the poet. So the poet uses so many similes in the poem. He uses metaphors, allusions to ancient mariner, and he uses certain words, repetitions, and images for hot day and color. He has used so many words to indicate the hot day in the poem. So many words are used to represent different colors. For satiation of the thirst, he uses different words. And above all, snake is personified in this. Snake is personified. Let us revise whatever we learnt in this session so far. One thing is very very clear, the poem gives rise to both horror and fascination at the poet's encounter with the snake. The poet saw the snake at his water trough, he met it. On seeing it, he had horror on the one hand and fascination towards it on the other. So there are two different attitudes in the poet. These attitudes show the attitude of the society towards so many things in our day-to-day life. It highlights how man is divorced from natural feelings. The poem very clearly shows how man is divorced. Divorced means being separated from the natural feelings and how society crushes them. Man is separated from his own natural feelings, emotions, feelings, or instincts. All these natural feelings are killed or crushed by the society. The society that we are living in is crushing our emotions. It is enriching our mind but killing our heart. That is very well presented in the poem. The poem arouses sympathy for all the creations of God and respects their right to exist. The reaction of the poet and the uh, expiation of the poet towards the end of the poem very clearly shows us that he is sympathetic to all the creations of God. He respects all the creations and he knows and believes that each and every living creature on this earth has a right to exist. We are not supposed to hurt or disturb the other creatures, not only the human beings, animals, reptiles, or any other creature for that matter. Every creature on this earth has a right to exist on this earth. So the poet highlights the poet's reaction. The poem highlights the poet's reaction to the snake at different stages of the encounter. Let us assess our understanding of the poem by answering some of the questions here. The poet tried to kill the snake because it was evil. He drank water from his water trough. He did not allow him to fetch water first. His social education made him do so. The poet tried to kill the snake because his social education had made him do so. The second question, the snake drinking water at the water trough is compared to a cow drinking water, a king drinking water, God drinking water, ancient mariner drinking water. The snake drinking water at the water trough is compared to a cow drinking water. The third question, the departure of the snake into the dark hole made the poet happy, feel relieved, protest, shout. Yes. The departure of the snake made the poet protest by hurling a logwood at it. The correct order of transformation of snake in the poem. As I told you, the snake is elevated. It changes its status from reptile to the cow, then to king, and then to God. So the transformation of the snake in the poem is in the following order: snake, God, king, cow, snake, king, cow, God, king, God, cow, snake, cow, God, king. D. Snake, cow, God, and king. Whom does the poet consider the lord of life in the poem? Cow, king, God, snake. The poet considers snake as the lord of life in the poem. And these are all the books that I refer to for preparation of this presentation. Thank you for listening.